Hey Agaho, Bancho Boy Kooper here with a Locals Finals. This is actually from the weekend after Nationals, both these players coming out and letting off a little bit of steam from the major sweat grind fest of Nationals, playing some slightly lower tier decks here. On the right we have the esteemed Charles piloting DarkKnightmon, getting an amazing opener with double BT11 Monidamon, picking up the Nene and the Digicross DarkKnightmon on the search. Can't ask for much better start than that. On the left is Nationals runner-up Kevin Tai playing Jesmon, and having a relatively feeble response with no rookie and just a hard slam of a BT10 Sistermon CL. The two Monidamons are just going to be crashed into security, and then we'll see a Digicross with the old BT7 materials, probably the best two materials overall you can get under your DarkKnightmon to immediately answer that CL, and this does not look good whatsoever for Jesmon at the moment with a 2-check 9k DarkKnightmon coming down, especially with just a hard slam of Savior Huckmon and still no rookie on the side of Jesmon. The upside of that is that the Savior Huckmon cannot be Digivolved. The bad thing is that this DarkKnightmon does survive both checks, and suddenly Jesmon is at 1 security. It's Toyagumon set up in Raising and 4 memory to work with for DarkKnightmon. First 3 going to be used for a Nene to search the top 3, and it looks like we're going to see something picked up there. I think it'll be that last card, which looks like I think it's a Skull Knightmon. And of course setting up blocker on future turns for the All Twilights and DarkKnightmons. And Izzy from BT4. Looks like we see a Skull Knightmon, Chikurimon, and a Digicross DarkKnightmon revealed, all black of course. So importantly, keeping the memory choked at 3. So if there is a 3-cost Digivolve that happens, that'll be very inefficient. Now it could be the Blitz Jesmon, of course, which would be fine, but instead it is the Jesmon X Antibody, which does cost 3, but thanks to playing out the old Sistermon CL, does regain 1 memory to keep turn, which is quite huge. As well, we do finally see a rookie in the racing area. And Jesmon X Antibody looks like it will be going for a swing. It does have piercing, so it's going to go through the DarkKnightmon, and when attacking, it does get to activate the Savior Huckmon Inheritable to play out the blocker block. However, DarkKnightmon will return the Skull Knightmon to the hand with its all turns when it would be deleted effect to play out the Deadly Axemon. And Deadly Axemon looks like it will search out a Digicross DarkKnightmon that we saw revealed earlier off Izzy, as well as a Skull Knightmon Cavalier mode. Nice little one of tech that you do see sometimes, with the DP gain from the CL and all whatnot. It gains 2k DP as well, rising to I think 15,000 DP to beat over that DarkKnightmon X Antibody. And then we do see a Blitz Jesmon picked up of note with that Master to Disciple option card. So board state is looking considerably more even than it was previously, with 2 blockers on the Jesmon side. Toyagumon will be raised out here, and the 3 memory from Izzy, of course, going to work here. We'll see a Digicross with Skull Knightmon as well as Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe mode. And a bit of a curious play here that you may not think is immediately obvious, choosing to target the Digivolve not on the Jesmon X, but rather on the Sistermon CL and deleting the Sistermon Blanc. And this likely, I would assume, is to prevent the Jesmon blitzing from coming down and perhaps having potentially more effects to have with the basically removing the potential instead of what's already there, if that makes any sense. Once it's already level 6, it's not going to be able to go back into a level 6 and get some powerful effects. Nonetheless, Jesmon X with piercing will swing through, and does get to play out that Sistermon CL, and which will immediately get DNA Digivolved into a Chimeramon, and will be grafting under the Savior Huckmon that was hit in security, which will drain out that Toyagumon with a minus 2 KDP through the opponent's next turn. And then still with 1 memory to work with, the Chimeramon in the field will actually be Digivolved into Gankumon X, as opposed to, we do know there is a Blitzing Jesmon in the hand. So now the board state is actually looking pretty good. Only 1 security left for Jesmon, but there are 2 blockers currently set up on the board. So we'll see how DarkKnightmon will respond. Does find another rookie in Raising with the Toyagumon. And yeah, definitely one large blocker, 1 not so large blocker in the form of the Sistermon Blanc. And we will actually see the Skull Knightmon Cavalier mode come down on top of Deadly Axemon. Does gain its jamming and blocker until the end of the opponent's next turn, which is definitely nice if you can couple it with the reboot. But we also see a Digicross of DarkKnightmon. Not sure what the bottom card is there. Looks like the first Digicross material does not have an inheritable, so I'm assuming it's a Deadly Axemon. as that is the order in trying to decide where we want to target this play effect again. You know, could de-digivolve one of the level 6s, but then it could go back into another level 6 with a nice one digivolving effect on a future turn. So ultimately, where will it go? And I believe it's going to be, yeah, we're going to see the de-digivolve targeted on the level 3, which of course does nothing because it's not being de-digivolved any further, and then the deletion of the Huckmon to basically ward off any future threats and just, you know, let the level 6s that are on the board be as they are, and hopefully no blitzing. However, there will be blitzing, as Jesmon GX does come down, and on evolve it will be able to plug in a Jesmon X antibody to activate that when digivolving effect to do a field pump, as well as attack unsuspended Digimon for the turn. And it will be passing turn with that Digivolve, but the decoy Sistermon Blanc will be played, and of course this can attack unsuspended Digimon with Piercing and this Blitz, so Kevin is looking over to see what he wants to do. Of course, most, or at least the DarkKnightmons, they do have blocker, and again they can disassemble into smaller pieces to do more searches. So there's definitely some debate here. Do you even bother blitzing, or do you just, you know, try to go for next turn when you do have that? And it looks like he ultimately chooses not to blitz. DarkKnightmon will be picking up the old actually looks like two alt-art copies of the old DarkKnightmon with that Monitamon search, and yeah, just trying to establish as many blockers as possible to get through the current wall of actually all those Digimon. I think actually every Digimon on both player sides except for that skull. Actually, yeah, that turn they were every Digimon was actually a blocker. I think that is a alt-art Chumon that is down there. That one's not a blocker. And yeah, this is really grinded down to a defensive stalemate right now, as Jesmon GX does swing, does still have the Savior Huckmon inheritable to play out a Sistermon CL to get even more DP and gain a memory. Swings over through for, it's actually going to be a couple of checks there. This time the Jesmon GX will be de-digivolved, so I believe it was owed one more check with Sec +1 for each Royal Knight. In its sources it had 2 Jesmon GX, so that will stop the checks short right there with the Chikurimon coming out of security. And we do still have, I believe, all those, yeah, everything except for the CL is still able to swing, so that's 4 swings, but there are enough blockers currently to ward off lethal this turn. 2 of them are not blockers, but there is still 1 security. So Bao Huckmon will be digivolved into here, and this is the one that can delete a 6 care less, or 5 care less, I believe, when you do swing. It looks like there will be another Chimeramon coming down, so that will actually, some weird interactions will actually happen here. We'll tuck in the Savior Huckmon, draining 2k on the board, which will take out the Monitamon. And I believe, I forget exactly how many it can DP drain, but it can drain the DarkKnightmons at least down to only 5,000 DP, which is exactly in the threshold range for Huckmon, so bear that in mind. Let's see. And with this, I believe we just about have lethal here, apart from, you know, being able to disassemble into other blockers. So checking, making sure what all the on-deletion effect, not on-deletion effect, all-turns effect, technically distinct, of the DarkKnightmon is going to be able to do. And yeah, that was in fact the Deadly Axemon under there, as we are getting very close to lethal here, as both players just trying to jockey for that last security. Gankumon X looks like it will be swinging in. It does have that Savior Huck inheritable to play out another blocker. DarkKnightmon will block and gets disassembled into a Mighty Axe mode. But yeah, it's, I believe that's going to be enough swings that Kevin will actually be able to go for game after that awful start. Here in Game 2, Jesmon will be starting, but no brick in sight, as we do see the classic, just hard play the BT6 Huckmon, don't worry about evolving and raising, picking up the starter deck Huckmon, as well as the old Bao Huckmon for BT6. And yeah, there's a Riki and raising ready to go on the next turn. So you have Toyagumon and raising, but a pretty constant sight in the raising area for DarkKnightmon. I'm thinking about how to use the 3 memory from the Huckmon. You do see there's a Nene Amano in hand, however that might make the memory passing game a little bit too generous. So instead it's going to be a Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe mode to choke at 1, and does pick up the Digicross DarkKnightmon, trashing 2 rookies, Toyagumon and Chikurimon, both Digifest stamp by the way. And limited amounts of memory to work with here, but before anything, if there's any blockers coming down, Huckmon will go ahead and throw itself at security, hitting into a Digicross DarkKnightmon. And the 2 cards that we saw picked up on the last round will just be evolved into there in the breeding area. So Toyagumon will come out and throw itself at security, getting Pogumon's inheritable to pick up a BT7 Alt Art DarkKnightmon to the hand. We do know there's that Nene, so it's probably going to be what we see here to end the turn. Mighty Axe mode will likewise crash itself into security, and here comes Nene to search the top 4 cards of the deck, and we're picking up a DarkKnightmon X Antibody, putting the rest to the bottom of the deck. And now we have Nene set up for the rest of the game, so we can see some blockers manufactured. With only 2 memory, there's not any threat of a blitzing Jesmon, so we'll just see Savior Huckmon from Starter Deck coming out in the breeding area, and next turn there'll probably going to be some Jesmon stuff that will transpire. Chikurumon comes down in the breeding area, and then just goes for 2 into the old Skull Knightmon, choking at 1, but of course with the Blitz Jesmon, doesn't matter how much it's choked at, it's going to be able to come out, swing, and play a couple of Sistermons out. One with its own effect, and one with the effect of the underlying Savior Huckmon. And of course there was no small body committed to the board because it would be popped with the Bao Huckmon inheritable. The old CL will come out for 1 memory gain, as well as get some passive DP pump, and the Starter Deck CL will come out for a search of, looks like, the Starter Deck Huckmon, as well as giving some reboot. 2 checks with Jesmon's effect. The second check is actually Chikurumon to de-digivolve it back into a Savior Huckmon. And the reason that, there were some choices to not de-digivolve earlier, but this time the digivolve is very beneficial as it tandems fantastically with DeathXmon coming down for 11 to wipe the board. Very costly play, but completely wipes that out and forces Jesmon to build another stack. However, with all the searching that was done, another stack, in fact, will be built. As we see, actually, I believe that's the same exact stack that was there before. The DP gain in all turns Huckmon, the Papa 5k, Bao Huckmon, and of course the starter deck that you can actually play 4 of, Savior Huckmon. So at 2 memory, we're going to see Master Disciple come out to search out, probably going to be this Jesmon GX, trashing the other cards. Sistermon in the trash is almost as good as in the hand, of course. And then to pass the turn, of course, there is DeathXmon's end of opponent's turn effect, so we'll just see the Sistermon Blanc played out, basically the same memory as passing, as well as getting to draw a card, and again, putting that Sistermon in the trash, roughly as good as keeping it in the hand. There's only a few effects that you actually can only play from hand from. So DeathXmon will swing and hit into a Jesmon X Antibody, and free memory to work with here. And I believe we're going to see an evolution into that beautiful Alt Art DarkKnightmon 4/3. Does only have 7,000. Will swing at security for 2 checks, but does hit a Jesmon X Antibody on the first check, the second Jesmon X in a row in the Jesmon player's security. So now at 0 memory, and definitely facing down another likely Jesmon of some kind or other coming down. See what the best way to limit the memory gain is, and looks like it's actually going to be an evolution of Skull Knightmon into Cavalier mode to choke at 1, so could be big, or there could be a Blitz Jesmon to kind of ignore the choking game entirely. So reviewing the trash to make sure what we've got in there to play out, and Savior Huckmon's coming out. You see Master Disciple being used for its delay effect to reduce the next Digivolution by 1. So this could be a Jesmon X Antibody for 2, regaining 1 with the CL, which would keep turn and be able to do some stuff. However, it will actually be the Gankumon X Antibody, which will end up being 3 with the reduction from Master Disciple, playing out the Sistermon CL from BT10, allowing a further Digivolution into Jesmon GX, plugging in Jesmon X Antibody to activate Jesmon X's effect to attack unsuspended Digimon, as well as play out a Sistermon first, then be able to gain DP, attack unsuspended Digimon. And I will see this shortly followed by a Blitz, just depending on which Sistermon. There's so many options now compared to how it was in BT6, where there was just 1 CL and 1 Blanc. Of course, there's way too many CLs because, we can't have Sistermon Noir, clearly. And at the end, it will be the top 3 and reboot Sistermon CL that will be searched out here, and picking up another copy of Jesmon GX. And it will be blitzing, as it does have reboots, so why not? And it's going to be blitzing, piercing through the Cavalier mode. Actually, it's going to be piercing through the DeathXmon and deleting the Cavalier mode with the when attacking effect. or yes, so we'll see. I think it's two, two more alt art BT7 DarkKnightmons being destroyed by Jesmon GX's blade. And yeah, it's a very scary looking board. Does pass over 6 memory though. So we'll see how DarkKnightmon can combat this board. And it's going to start with a Digicross of DarkKnightmon to the Digiball Jesmon GX back down to Gankumon. It will in fact be the Digiball, but who's going to be the deletion target? It'll be the blocker Blanc. So now there's actually only one blocker on the board, which is that Gankumon X antibody. Consider swinging with the Monitamon, however there is that blocker Gankumon, so we'll run that one back right quick. All good between these two players. And 2 memory left to see what the best way to go from here is to try to combat this board. It'll actually be another Digicross to get back to save your Huckmon and reduce from 3 Sistermons on board to only 1. And all of a sudden there are 3 blockers now for DarkKnightmon, and 2 of them will disassemble into blockers further from there, thanks to Nene. However, we do know there is another Jesmon GX at hand, as well as apparently another Jesmon X antibody in hand, which will again be able to keep turn, despite starting with 2 memory, thanks to that memory gain from the BT6 Sistermon CL. The CLs will be DNA'd into a Chimeramon, plugging in the Savior Huckmon to drain out 2k, which will take out the Monitamon, as well as put those 2 DarkKnightmons at 5000 BP. So I think this is where there's some crazy interactions here. This has been a game of a lot of flip-flopping board states of who's got the advantage. So we'll see that DarkKnightmon get popped, which will, with the About Huckmon effect, which will play out the Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe mode to do a top couple search. And what will actually happen here is this Skull Knightmon, now that it's on the board, will actually, I believe, end up just blocking this attack because, you know, something has to block here. There's no security left. So the DarkKnightmon will stay as it is, as DarkKnightmon X might be a potential good thing that can go for and do something. Looks like we will see a Gankumon, could swing with the Chimera, but it's going to play it safe and just evolve into Gankumon to play out yet another Sistermon, as well as get another big blocker on the board. We already have the blocker giving Blanc played out. Looks like we'll see just maybe another blocker giving Blanc. A lot of great options here. It's going to be actually the Sistermon CL to keep choked at 3 memory, and that's pretty big, as that does potentially keep the DarkKnightmon X from coming down, because you know, we never kill Nene. Never kill Nene. Tumblemon will be hatched here, and yeah, this looks like it may be a little bit too much to come back from. The previous turn with the double Digicross to break Jesmon's board I thought was pretty impressive, but at this point it does look like it's going to be a little bit too much, as Kevin did hold back and make sure to get a very stout defense of 2 blockers, and we're just going to scoop it up here, and Jesmon will take the match 2-0. Here is the Jesmon deck that bent but did not break. And here is the very much blinged out DarkKnightmon deck that could not quite finish the game against the barrage of Sistermons. Thank you for watching, and please check back next week where we'll see what comes out on top of the Beelzemon Cup.